Step one, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step two, get some good, some food in you. Step three, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step four, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Good morning, good morning. Welcome to Good Morning Crypto, where we turn your early hours in the morning into your edge in financial freedom. Today, I've just got the PCE data to really talk about, and then we can focus on some charts. I don't really have any big headlines. We know what the big headline is. Bitcoin's been going down, as well as most of the TradFi markets. We did see a little bit of bounce in some of those stocks yesterday, but for the most part, we are looking for that bottom point. So let's dive on in today and get you prepped for some success. I do have the stock heat map pulled up. We've got Apple sitting up a 0.7% from yesterday, and the pre-market taking back all of those gains and a little bit extra, sitting down at 0.94 right now. Nvidia is sitting up 1.37 from yesterday, and as well as Apple taking back all of those gains and a little bit extra, sitting down at 2.76 right now in the pre-market. We got Berkshire Hathaway, which made a little bit of gains yesterday, taking back some of those in the pre-market, down 0.3% right now. We've got Amazon as sitting up 1.26 from yesterday, and in the pre-market, also taking back some of those gains and a little bit extra, sitting down 2.59 in the pre-market. We've got Eli Lilly is sitting down 0.94% in the pre-market, doing quite amazing though. It is up 4.77% right now. We've got ExxonMobil, which is sitting down in the pre-market as well as on yesterday, down 0.86% from yesterday and down 0.29% in the pre-market. We've got Tesla, which is on a bit of a losing streak right now. It is down 0.9 from yesterday, and in the pre-market is down a whopping 5.11%. Microsoft is sitting pretty neutral, down 0.08% from yesterday, is on a bit of a losing streak this morning, as well as the rest of the market, sitting down 1.25%. We've got Google sitting down yesterday, just a smidge down 0.24%, and in the pre-market, continuing with the rest of the market trend, down 1.89%. We have Meta as well, sitting down from yesterday, about 2.27%, and in the pre-market as well, taking some losses, down 1.77%. We've got a lot of people who are prepping for this PCE data that is going to be dropping a little bit later. We do have the crypto market looking pretty red right now. Bitcoin is down 4.7%. We've got Ethereum down 8.5%. We've got XRP getting hit a little bit hard, down 11.2%, is sitting at less than $2. Haven't seen that in a little while. We've got BNB down 6.77%. Solana sitting down 8.2%. We've got Toncoin sitting down at 7.08. We've got Chainlink sitting down at 11.66. Avalanche sitting down pretty nicely as well, down 12.62. We've got Tron sitting down at 9.66. Doge is sitting down 14%. We've got Cardano sitting down heavy as well, down below $1 again, down 12.5%. We do have one outlier here, up 0.87%, and that is Leo. So pretty much a blood red morning, and if you're a bit like me, and you see those bloody red days and a little bit of your blood is in the street, you buy. You buy a little bit more because you might not see dips like this again, especially going into the period that we're going to be going into beginning next year. So a nice little buy opportunity if you've got the dry powder. We do have some data coming out for the morning. That'll be at 8:30 Eastern Time. We got core PCE month over month, year over year, and we've got PCE month over month and year over year, as well as personal income and personal spending. This will be a very heavy data drop. Core PCE and PCE are how the Fed likes to gauge their interest rate decisions. And with the personal income and personal spending, we will kind of get a gauge of what we are looking at coming into next year and what March might look like. Especially if we're going to see some rate hikes coming from Japan coming in March. I really do believe that if America wants to counteract some of the negative benefits, negative actions that are going to be coming from Japan hiking the rates, that they will really need to cut those rates so that we keep that Dixie strong and some of that money that is still tied up in that Japan carry trade in America. If they don't end up doing that rate cut while Japan is hiking rates, we might see the next big crypto dip that we're seeing right now, and that will be another little buying opportunity for us coming into 2025 before we really see that crypto summer where everything's kind of boring and sideways action, and we kind of get that little small Bitcoin bottom before we get that next rally. So a lot of data coming out today that is going to be forecasting how 2025 is going to be playing out for the Federal Reserve. We do have some data coming out of Canada, nothing too heavy, some retail sales month over month and year over year. We do have a consumer confidence flash coming out of the European Union at 10 Eastern Time. So that would be a slight market mover, nothing too heavy though. The next data drop for the US is going to be in that 10 o'clock time frame too, and that's that Michigan consumer expectations and consumer sentiment. And that will be another slight market mover for the day. Most of those eyes are going to be on that PCE data though, because as I've said, that's the Federal Reserve's favorite metric for how they look at inflation. Because if those numbers tick up, you can expect to see the rest of the numbers tick up as well, because this is your producer side of things. And if things are more expensive for the producer, they will be more expensive for the consumer. It does look like a bit of a mixed bag. You have the core PCE month over month, which is coming down just a little bit, which is the direction we want to see things, even though the year over year is ticking back up just a smidge from 2.8 and forecasted to be 2.9%. You do have your core your PCE, which is sitting the same 0.2% to 2.2% month over month. This is without energy and some food costs and things like that. Some of the stuff that actually matters when you're talking about these things, because your consumer spends a lot of money on these things and they have to spend this money. You saw a lot of the data drop from last week was held up by things that aren't actually spent on quite frequently, like automobile, and you had a lot of construction for repairing of the hurricanes. That really bolstered some of those numbers, and that's not something you can really depend on over and over. And this is why you kind of want to see that PCE number be in line a little bit more than that core PCE, because the core PCE negates a lot of those things that you spend on every single day. You do have that year over year though, which is looking like it's ticking up just a little bit, up 0.2 percent from 2.3 to 2.5%. That personal income is looking like it's going to be down just a little bit from 0.6 to 0.4, and the personal spending looking like it's ticking up just a little bit from 0.4 to 0.5, which is to be expected when we're in this holiday time frame. Let's hop over to those liquidation heat maps and fear and greed real quick. We do have the stock market still sitting in that worrisome phase. It is in extreme fear and 21. You know, the stock market really gets shaken out a whole lot easier. They are not used to like seeing a 14% drop like we did on some of our crypto assets. And unlike some of us who have a lot of conviction, like 14%, that's nothing. We saw 30% down like back in March. Back in April, and we clicked the buy button. So 14%, that's some breathing room to click the buy button. That's not how stocks feel. So they are pretty scared right now. On the other side of things, crypto is down just a point. We are still sitting in greed, which definitely gives us some more room to come down just a little bit, and we will talk about some of those bouncing points that we see on the chart here in a second. For our liquidation heat map, we've got a lot of liquidity stacking up to the top side of us, sitting right about that $100,000 range. We've got some at 98,881. And again, we have another hot spot at 99,585. So stacking up right below that 100,000, you do have a light hot spot sitting right below us at the lows at 92,547. If you kind of zoom it out just a little bit, take a look at that 3-day, we've taken out a lot of the liquidity. You have people that keep deciding, oh, this is the bottom, I'm going to long it, and then that liquidity gets taken out. As you can see, it happened again, and then happened again right here when people were like, oh, the bottom is in, and then they started longing and got liquidated. As you can see, most of that liquidity is stacking up to the top side. You've got some at that range that I talked about, 99,000 for your 3-day, and then everything is going to be above that $100,000 mark. You have some stacking up at 102,900, and again at 105,500 to that 650 range. You've got some again stacking up at $108,000. If you kind of zoom it on out to that weekly, you can kind of see that the only hot spot is going to be above us, sitting right at the highs where some people had conviction and shorted the market. If you zoom it on out a little bit more, you can kind of see we've cleared out most of the liquidity to either side of us, and we're sitting in a light pocket zone with no liquidity to really pull things down on that 2-week. Have to zoom it out just a little bit more to kind of see where the hot spots might lie below us. This is the 3-month. You do have some stacking up down here at 88,000. And again, down here at that range that we were at for a brief second before we moved on up, and that's that 73,900 range. And again, right below that at 64,000. I don't think we get that low. That's really worrisome if we do. But as Piper had talked about the other day in the Discord, if you were there, that 74 range is kind of his oh crap range, where he doesn't want to see it get there, but it's definitely a point where it's about a 30% dip and doesn't really worry too much. It still makes a macro higher high and a macro higher low. So plenty of room to go to the downside. I know some people aren't as expecting of it, and some people are prepared. and have seen this before. And 30% dips in crypto are nothing. It is a buying opportunity to get a little more of that Bitcoin or get some more of those alts, because when you see Bitcoin drop 30%, you're going to see some of those alts drop a little bit harder. Let's hop over to the chat real quick and say good morning to everyone. I see a bunch of people in here. Got Dante Cabrero in here with the good morning BC. Got Jesse Gulak in here saying good morning fam. French Toaster saying good morning guys. We got Justin Eubanks in here. Long time no see, Justin. Good morning, good morning. We've got Jesse Gulak saying, Frenchie, I see you everywhere. He said, Jesse, I'm following you, lol. We've got the Dusty Hunt in here. Good morning. And Biddy was a good friend. Hate to see her go. Well, that's it just depends on how you're looking at things. I'm looking at things as buying opportunities. I saw some of those points on some of my alts that I've really been wanting to see. I haven't been wanting to buy Bitcoin in that $100,000 range, so I've just been waiting. And I feel like, we're coming up on a good point to deploy some capital into some Bitcoin. So we'll kind of see where those bottoming points are in a second. Jesse Gulak saying blood all over the streets. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And if you've got that conviction, you buy when there's blood in the streets, even if it's your own blood. We've got Alexandra G in here saying good morning, BC Port Corp. Have a great stream. I'm listening in. Good morning, Alexander G. I hope you've got your cup of coffee and you're starting the day off right. Saying good morning to Donato Cabrera. We've got her saying good morning to Jesse. We've got Arsan246 in here saying good morning. We've got Arsan246 saying I bleed. Yes, we're all kind of bleeding right now. It's been a tough drop for some of us, and some of us have been taking that opportunity. We've got Jay Violet saying good morning. How are you doing, Jay Violet? And Baba Yaz in here. Oh, I see Crypto Conspiracy as well. What's up, fam? Only the newbies are freaking out. I mean, I've been around for quite a while, and I know some people that have been around for a cycle, and even they get a little worried when stuff gets like this, you know? Sometimes these time frames are very emotional, and when you're talking about trading and you're talking about investing, sometimes it does get a little hard to take your emotions out of things, and that's kind of what you have to do sometimes. You got to take a step back, and as Piper had shown in his Discord yesterday, you're looking at that 4-hour chart. Oh my goodness, that looks scary. You zoom it on in a little bit. Some people trade on that 5-minute time frame. And you take a look at this, and this looks a little scary, you know? But if you zoom it on out just a little bit, take a look at that weekly chart, that doesn't look as scary, you know? Yeah, it's a decent red candle and all of that, but like, look how far we came, and look how small that really looks in the grand scheme of things. If you zoom it on out a little bit further, take a look at that monthly. That's nothing. It's just a little blip on the chart, and there's nothing too concerning to me, especially when I've been through all of this. We're like, oh crap, we're down 55% right now. And what did I do? I clicked the buy button and I wrote it back up. So that's what these times are for. And if you zoom it on out a little bit, it becomes a little less scary. You've got plenty of room to pull back just a little bit. You know, all of this is a fair value gap. If you zoom it on in to those higher term time frames, you got those order blocks that are sitting right underneath us that Piper pulled in the Discord. If you're not in the Discord and you haven't checked out that WAP Upperclassmen membership, you're missing out on some amazing information there. So check out that link in the description, because we also learn but we have a fun time doing it. He's got a lot to say in the Discord when we all get together and we're able to ask those questions. Let's zoom it on into that 4 hour though. As you can kind of see here, we're getting to that point where you could see some reversals signals showing up on that 4 hour chart again. You've got money flow still looking very red though, so we want to see that reversal of trend in the money flow as well as the price action. You're sitting right below that golden pocket. I've pulled that from back here before we started to move on up in this range. You've gotten a lot of play off of some of these fibs here. The 382 was a point of contention a lot. Your 236 was another point of contention before we were able to really break out and make new highs after turning the golden pocket into some support. And we are now dropping below that golden pocket. Looks like we might get a little bit of a test on that range, the same way that we got a little bit of a test on the 236, the 382, and the 50% fib retracement. So just looking for those points where we can really see the bears lose their momentum, and a lot of that is going to be on that money flow. I do have a few bouncing points that I've been wanting to see. 90,000 90,900 was one of those. We did have a heavy bouncing point here where you saw a little bit of contention here on this wick on the 4 hour, as well as back here on top of that platinum pocket where you had a nice little battle back here at the November 18th, where we got a lot of play in this range, meaning that there's a lot of pressure to both directions and could be a point where we start seeing a little bit of breathing room. If we do end up losing that, we're going to lose that platinum pocket sitting at 90,200. And we've got another little point where we could kind of see some bouncing before we break below this fib retracement. And that's going to be 86,700. That's a point where we saw a lot of contention as well. You have heavy wicks on either side of this right here. You've got your candle bodies that line up on that extremely well, but the wicks below it indicate a lot of buying pressure there. So I am looking to kind of see a holiday rally, and that's where I've got my eye for a few bouncing points. If we do end up breaking below that, there's not a whole lot of support in this range to really hold us up. You do have some liquidity that was stacking up down here at the bottom side of the range when I showed you the higher term time frame chart. And so that's kind of right below the range where we could kind of hit that bounce. Let's zoom it on in just a little bit. Take a look at that hourly chart, because that's really where we're going to start seeing that money flow change. As you can kind of see, when we've been red and getting the slight little bounces, that money flow still ticking back up. It's just a little breath before we continue that trend down, and we're really going to need to see that MACD start pulling towards the 0 line, as well as those reversal signals stack up with a little bit of divergence here. We don't have any divergences here on that 1 hour time frame, even though we do see these oversold signals and reversal signals that kind of play out for a brief second. As you can kind of see here, this oversold and reversal signal only played out to that fib retracement line before dropping off extremely hard. Same thing here. We got a oversold signal and a reversal signal that just moved the market sideways as liquidity stayed very red. So we're going to need to see that liquidity shift for us if we really want to see that bottom point come in. that platinum pocket, I believe, is going to be where we start seeing a little bit of a bounce. And if that liquidity doesn't really come in to save us, it's going to be another little thing where we make a brief second of support on our platinum pocket before really dropping back down outside of 90,000. And if you are not ready to click the buy button, again, if you've been clicking the buy button, that's going to be another point where the buy button might be another thing to look at instead of panicking just a little bit. Because if we drop that and you're seeing the alts in some of those positions that you've been seeing where it's down quite a bit, like XRP down 11%, if you get that next little drop from here, let's measure that out. Current price to that bottom side, you're seeing about a 7% drop on Bitcoin, which I believe would play out most likely over today and Saturday. That's where you would see those alts at your buying point, because if 7% dip on Bitcoin, you're going to see another 14% drop on something like XRP. And if you're not ready to click buy, those prices are going to leave you behind. Let's zoom it on in just a little bit more. And if anyone has any alt requests for me, oh my God, my Alexa is so annoying. I'm just going to unplug her. All right, I'm going to zoom it on into that 15 minute. As you can kind of see here, we are sitting red on that 15 minute as well. You do see the prime oscillator sitting a light red, which gives us a little bit of an indication where this golden pocket is going to be a point where we might start seeing a little bit of a bounce before we really continue to find that bottoming. This is something that we've done here on the 50 line. We did it on the 382. We did it on the 236. It's just a little breath of hope for those people to hit those longs, be like, oh, here we are. The bottom's in. We're going to long it. And then as you saw on that liquidation heat map, they just take their money. They're like, ha, sucker, mine. And they take their money. And they've been doing it on this whole range down. You saw all of that liquidity stacking up, and this is not what you want to see. You want to see the confirmed bottom is in. And that's going to take a second. Will you lose out on some specific gains? 1 or 2%? Yeah, but what is 1 or 2% when you're making sure that you don't lose money? I don't try to target bottoms. That's not what I'm here for. I try to confirm that the move is in the direction that I want to see, and then I hit my long, or then I hit my short, or then I click my buy button. I've been focused on spot right now. I'm going to be honest, I have not been trading. I've been accumulating alts because I made a little bit of money off of trading when we were moving on to the upside. So now I've been waiting, and I've been clicking the buy button when we get to key levels that I've been wanting to see, and I've been lowering my entries on objective and near, and I did buy a little bit of Solana, but that's just because it's Sol, you know? Some of those prices that I see that I might get to look like decent buying opportunities once we dropped below that platinum pocket again. So if we do have any alt requests besides Sol, Link, and Vet, let me write those out. We've got Sol and Vet and Link. If anyone has anything else they'd like me to take a look at, drop that in the chat for me. Let me say hello to the chat again. I see Crypto Billy in here. Good morning, Crypto Billy. We've got Arsan246 saying, yes, I panic. Well, I can completely understand that. You know, it is a very emotional time frame when you see 14% down, 15% down, XRP down 11%, not everyone is always built to see that money go down so quickly, and it does take time to get used to that. If you're used to TradFi, where you see a 3% dip, and you're like, okay, whew, that's not so bad. I'm only down like a couple $100. Whereas in you see that 14% dip in crypto, and you're like, oh shit, where did that $800 go? And then if you've got the conviction from your trading and you've been stacking up dry powder from your paychecks or from your trading as well, instead of being like, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap, and being like, do I sell? Do I switch? You just double down. And that's what I did. All of last market, every single time we got a big dip, anything over 10, 15%, I clicked that buy button. And I did that on ADA, and I did that on BCH, and that made me a lot of money last cycle. Every time everyone was worried and they were scared and they were getting shaken out and they were hitting that sell button, they're like, I can't. I'm like, thank you, thank you, thank you, give me. And that's something that takes training. That takes a lot of training. It takes putting your emotions to the side and being okay with seeing some of those losses to know that the gains that you're going to see when you're buying during those time frames are going to make you so much more money. Let's see. Philip Gerard saying near is wrecked, lol. We can take a look at that near chart for you if you'd like. I see K Diggity. Why is my whole family in here so early? Because we like to get an early start on the day. I've been up since 4 a.m. and I like to get the day started right. Let's see, Wick 589 in here. I saw Alexandra and Jay Violet in here. Have a great day, ma'ams. Nice to see you here, Wick 589. Let's see, Jesse Gulek saying Billy knows. Let's see, did he say? I'm not seeing, but maybe he had said something. I see AVAX requested by Clay the Great, and Sui requested by a few people, and Tao as well. So Sui and Tao and AVAX. All right. Got a nice little list going there. We got Down Up the Block Bromeo Gramero Guggenheimer. Oops. I definitely butchered that one. I just lost all portfolio profit and dumped 90% of my paycheck into more. And that's what you call conviction. You won't see some of these prices for a long time. And when I'm saying a long time, it might be over a year before we get to some of these prices again. Because, we get to that lull in the summertime in next year. And that's when you can really hit that buy button again. We're moving sideways on Bitcoin, or Bitcoin's coming down just a little bit, retracing some of those gains that are really made explosively. And that's when I did a lot of alt buying. Yeah, I did a lot of alt buying last cycle before that, but when we got to that summertime and I had a decent amount of money because I had a very boring summer, I stayed home and I looked at the charts all through COVID, and I didn't do crap. I didn't go nowhere. I didn't spend no money, and it all went into my crypto bags. And I was very bored that summer, but I had a lot of fun, and that's where I did a lot more buying. And this is the time frames that you look for in crypto. 15% down means buy. At least that's how I look at it. That's what I did the whole way when we were riding things up. Every time we got those 15% dips in the market, I was buying. Anytime we saw, like on certain projects, like Bitcoin, we're down 10% from that move up that we made, I'm clicking the buy button. And this is how you have to play it. If you were a trader, those would be the times where like you're 10% down, you're looking for the longs. If you're up high and your fear and greed is high, you're looking for those shorts. And when you're looking for those shorts, you look for those bounce points, and that's when you're looking, if you've got hodl bags and you've got money, you're also looking for the long and the buy button. So let's hop into some of those alt requests real quick. I've already got Link pulled up. I've been looking at Link a lot. Got Jesse Gulek saying 33.8% down. Buy. It depends on what you're talking about. I've got conviction in everything that I purchase because I'm very selective on what I buy. I'm a Bitcoin maxi. I like real projects that bring real utility. So I bought some BCH last cycle. I bought some ADA because it was a great project last cycle. This cycle, I'm injective and near. I do have some Solana just because I realize the potential on gains. But these are projects that I'm going to sell and 100% going to sell, and I might never hold again. I haven't been holding ADA this cycle just because there's other projects that perform better. So really just depends on your conviction in the project that you're in. Let's zoom it on out on Link to that daily chart to kind of gauge where we are sitting. You've got money flow still looking nice and green on your daily for Link. So definitely got a little more liquidity sitting in Link than you do in Bitcoin on your higher term time frames, which leads it for a better little bouncing point to potentially see some support here coming in. Although if you do see Bitcoin drop extremely hard, you're going to see Link do the same. Let's extend that line right, and you can kind of see we got our wick right on that support line that I've had drawn out, and got a small little bounce off of it on our higher term time frame. You've got your MACD, which is still pointing to the downside though, as well as your prime oscillator, which is extremely red, even though your daily liquidity is sitting very nicely. Let's zoom it on into that 4 hour, get a little bit of gauge there, how things are sitting. You're getting a lot of play on the bottom side of the prime oscillator, but you're not getting any reversal signals yet. That money flow is extremely red here. Ticked to the dark red here if you zoom it on in. Ticked to the dark red, went light for a second, and it back to that dark red, as well as the prime oscillator did. So just looking for that money flow like we are in Bitcoin to kind of shift direction and pull things back up. I think the PCE data, if it comes out slightly better than expected and that month over month, is really going to bolster price for just a second. So just waiting to see how that data drop for the morning really plays out. You have your MACD, which is very indecisive right now, pointing almost directly sideways, but you've got a lot of width from that indicator line, so could really just pull right back down and continue that downside trend on things. Would really need to see Link pull up to this 236 back at $22 and about 20 cents and make some support to really break that trend. If not, there's plenty of room to the downside for Link as well. Would really need to pull that Fibonacci retracement. Let's get it from the low here. Zooming on out just a bit to our highs. And we are sitting right at that 50% line on a retracement. So if we break outside of the extension range, you do have $18.17, which could be a nice little bouncing point, and that's that golden pocket. It's sitting right below us. Definite little move to the downside though of about 14%. So, like I said, if we see Bitcoin dropping a bit and it's coming down 1, 2, 3, 4%, you're going to see those alts bleed off a little bit. And that 14% to a golden pocket is a nice little buying point or a nice little point to hit a long from. That really does break our trend line there, where we've had decent support running back from the beginning of November off of this candle body here, touching it 3 times here before continuing and breaking away from it quite nicely before we got a nice little touch there again. And so, like Bitcoin did, broke below some of my support lines, could very easily do the same for a bunch of your alts, like Link here, if we get another little move to the downside. Let's see what the chat is saying. The dip is low-key shaking me just a tad. I'm still holding, took some profits last week and the week before, but I think I'm going to start planning an MSTR cycle exit. And that's something that Piper has talked about, that depending on how the market is looking going into Q1 of next year, when he gets to the end, he might start, he's looking at taking some profits, especially if we're going to see that summer lull on crypto. Why take those losses when you can put your money elsewhere that are going to do good things for you? We've got down up your block, Bromeo Guggenheimer asking, what's your thoughts on Doge right now? Well, if I have some time, I will definitely take a look at Doge. I'm not a big meme person. I've never held a meme project in my life. So I don't look at those charts very often unless they're requested. So if I have that time, I will take a look at it. Got Wick 589 saying, it's not that I don't think ADA, Algo, or XRP won't go higher. I'm looking for tokens that have stable coined at their lows, much like these did before their prices launched. And that's another good thing to see, especially when you have those projects that have been around for a while. It is something where your retail buyer is coming back into crypto and they're like, oh, I remember ADA. Oh, I remember Algo. Oh, I remember XRP. And they're at prices that they've seen before. And they're like, buy. And that's why some of those projects ran extremely hard. Let's pull up Solana real quick. There's Solana. As you can kind of see here, we broke below that platinum pocket that I've been wanting to see turned into some support, especially when everything is moving down to the downside. We broke below our trend line as well. We tried to maintain that for a brief second before being unable to hold it. So I'm going to hide that for a second. Let's hide that and kind of zoom back out to see our other trend line that I've had drawn out from back at the tops of the range. You got 2 touches off of it here and a touch off of it here. We wicked above it before really turning it into a point where we broke above. You've got your golden pocket sitting right above that at that 171.95, which would be a small little point where we start seeing some support made, as it wasn't really turned into some strong support on our daily chart. Leaves that really open to some attack to be turned into some support, as well as turning this resistance line that was never really turned into some support if we are unable to hold that. Like I've been saying for some of the alts here, when you're going to see Bitcoin come down about 5% or another 7%, these alts are going to bleed. So seeing us find that support here at the ranges is at these lower ranges is going to be the move to have patience for. You are sitting at 185 right now. If you just drop it down to the trend line there, that's about 13% to the downside. Nothing too scary. If you have conviction and soul, that's an amazing buying point, especially sitting that far down from $200, which was a real point of contention for soul. And what got a lot of people bullish when we got to that 200 range, and they didn't have the patience to wait for the dip that was potentially coming. We talked about it a lot when we were sitting at those really high points on that fear and greed. We're sitting at 90, we're sitting at 99, we're sitting at 94, we're sitting at 87, even though we're getting small little dips of 1-2%. That fear and greed was very, very overheated and left a lot to be asked for some downside movement. You do have this fair value gap as well as sitting on Sol. Let's draw that out real quick. This is all a fair value gap, which was left to be contested, and we broke below the midline of that. So that bottom side target is quite in line with that trend line here if we continue that move to the downside. I think PCE data will really bolster price. I believe we might get a little touch on this midline again before we really hit another little move to the upside for a brief second and continue the trend. We've got very red money flow, and if we don't get that green money flow on things, then it's really going to drag price down just a little bit further. As you saw, your TradFi at the beginning of the show is still in that downtrend. The pre-market is selling off. It's selling off very, very hard right now on some of those big 7 assets. So leaves a little bit to be worried about here into the PCE data drop for today. I see a trade intuition in here. Been up all night trying to fine tune my indicator and relying on ChatGPT, so nothing but errors. Sad face. Does BC Port Corp? I need help at Piper Academy. Do you need some help with some of those Pine scripts, sir? Because they can be a little bit of a pain. I know Pine scripts are very notorious for having to be spot on, and they like to throw those error codes on if you haven't defined exactly what you're looking for on a word. So if you're looking for a top and you haven't defined top in PineScript, it has no idea what it's trying to do, and it'll just throw error codes through your whole script. I've had that same problem. So I hope you're having a good morning though, sir. Let's see, Al Jr. in here. Jesse, you remember LOL LFG 88.7. Let's see. Yes, I'm having so many issues. Well, shoot me a message in the Discord, and maybe I can help you out just a little bit on some of those Pine scripts. Trade intuition. Pick me, says Darren Does Things. I guess we got another little Pine script writer over there with Darren Does Things. And K Diggity says, Pine scripts hate me. Well, maybe there's a few people here that might be able to help you out. K Diggity saying good morning, Darren. So let's continue on that Sol chart real quick. Let's zoom it on into that 4 hour. As you can kind of see here, the sell-off is slowing down just a little bit, especially coming up to this PCE data that we're going to be seeing at 8:30 Eastern time. You're going to see a little pause there. We're going to get to a point where we can either long or short from. And if the data comes out as forecasted, then you might see a continuation of trend. You will really need one of those data drops on the monthly to come in extremely nice, where it's over forecast to really bolster that price. And that's where I'd look for that 171 for Solana to potentially see another little bouncing point. Could pull up a fib retracement from the move up. We've got a boom to the highs. Let's see if that's it. Not looking like the point to pull from. Let's pull it from back here, see if that's a little bit more in line with those fibs. Looking like that plays out just a smidge better. You've got your 382. That was a point of contention. And we're sitting right at that golden pocket on a Fibonacci retracement. So let's hide that. Extension. There we go. So we've got that golden pocket sitting below us at 179. If we end up breaking that, like a lot of the other assets, that platinum pocket is going to be the point where we really want to see that bounce. That's going to be 156 and 70 cents for Solana. That is a bit of a dip there, but if you've got conviction for the long term, that's kind of what you want to see. Money flow on that shorter term time frame is at that point where you could see it go either way. So to really see it come back up to that 50% line is something that you might see, as well as on that Bitcoin, where we were sitting right at that point where we could push back up to that golden pocket, because it was sitting below the golden pocket, whereas in here we're sitting above it. You have that 186 for the middle line of your fair value gap. And if we were able to push above it, that 191 to 194, 195 is going to be that contention point. Let's lock that fib and move over to the next asset. I did have SWE requested, so let's get that pulled up. It's been a second since I've looked at some SWE. We're outside of our Fibonacci extensions, so let's hide that and kind of pull a Fibonacci retracement. We're going to have to zoom on out to a higher term time frame and kind of get the point where we might see that fib retracement to be pulled from. Let's see how it looks on that. And zooming on in to the 4 hour to see how those fib lines play. Looking like that was the point to pull from. All right, let's lock that Fibonacci and kind of see where we're sitting. Again, sitting right above that golden pocket there, like we were on Solana. This has definitely got a little bit of some room to go to the downside, though. You do see an oversold signal, but your money flow is extremely red here, but it's ticking down just a little bit. Your MACD is at that point where it's looking to go sideways just a bit. So if we do get that little bounce for PCE data, going to have to look at that 50% line on our Fibonacci, which is also kind of closing some of that fair value gap. And that's going to be that $3.97, almost $4. So let's zoom it on in just a little bit, kind of see where that 15-minute is sitting. Looks like your outflows are starting to tick up just a little bit while price is moving to the upside. So definitely could be continuing that trend for the morning, where we just have a little bit more of a pullback before we really hit that bounce point. You've got your platinum pocket here at $3.40, and could be a nice little bouncing point for SWE. That's only about about 8% to the downside. So might play out over the day, especially where we see the PCE data being a bit of a mixed bag. Let's take a quick look at Tau. Let's see where that was for me. We got Tau in my favorites. I like those AI projects. Let's zoom it on out. Take a look at that daily. As you can see, it's been a little while since I took a look at Tau. We ended up breaking a resistance line. I don't know why that's green. That should be red. There we go. We ended up breaking out of my resistance line and moved very quickly up to the 236 and 382 range. We got a little bounce off of that 50% before trying to pull up and really break outside of the range and into some new highs that we haven't seen on things. We are now sitting at right above that 50% line on a retracement, looking to really turn a support range here. But with your money flows looking green on the daily, but everything's looking to the downside. You don't have any oversold signals flashing. You have no reversal signals flashing. Your MACD's basically pointed straight down, making a lot of width from your indicator line. So looking for a little golden pocket bounce here on Tau, especially if we're going to get some more room to the downside. Let's zoom it on in there. See how things are looking on that 4 hour. You're starting to see a little bit of reversal signals playing out, some divergences that stacked up before we really got that big move to the downside. So really looking for that bouncing point, as well as with Bitcoin and the rest of these assets. These reversal signals have been getting ignored, so definitely going to need the money flow, just like the rest of the market, to really come back in here and rescue things. When you're seeing the sell-off in TradFi, though, it doesn't give a lot of hope for the morning. And oh, I see Army Piper in here saying, "Hold me, lol." Well, I'll hold you, and you click the buy button for me. So we'll teamwork this, cause I've been looking at the buy button and it's looking juicier and juicier and juicier, and I just want the bottom. I want the bottom, and I don't think it's quite there yet. That's why I've been looking at some of those golden pockets and platinum pockets for a lot of these assets. Tau's looking no different. That golden pocket's really looking like a bouncing point. It is a big drop though, so we're sitting at that at 426, and a move to the downside there is gonna be a big drop. About oh, I think I need to redraw one, because that's a big drop there for it. But as you've seen with Bitcoin dropping what it dropped, seeing this drop here from Tau to current price, it is down about 40%. So dropping a lot harder than Bitcoin is, and could definitely be another little move to the downside of about a risky 20%. If you are seeing a Bitcoin drop, that's 7% that I was looking at for on the chart earlier. I did see AVAX requested. I didn't take a look at that one yet, so we will take a quick look at AVAX before I wind the show down, so that we can all go to Alex O Crypto's show and drop some graduation caps in there for him. We do have AVAX sitting right below that fair value gap that I'd been looking at for a while. Let's make that black so that we know that it's filled. Lock that as well, and we are sitting right above a point of contention. We've got the golden pocket really sitting right below us at $30.12, with our 50% line sitting right above us at $37.15. Seeing it do this kind of the same thing that we're looking at on some of the other assets, where we pull up to our 50% line or our golden pocket, try to make some fake support where we really have some people like, oh, bottoms in, let's long before their liquidity gets taken, would be a move to see. You are seeing a slight reversal signal play out here on your higher term time frame, but it is really getting ignored. These oversolds are getting ignored. Your MACD is at that point where it's starting to get a bit of curvature, but it's got a decent bit of room from your indicator line, which allows for a little more bleeding to the downside, and that golden pocket could really be that bouncing point, especially if we're going to see Bitcoin bleed just a little bit more off of some bad data. That's about a 15% move to the downside. We've already seen that on some of our alts already, so nothing too concerning there. We are looking like that bottom side of the fair value gap is a resistance point for right now. If you zoom it on in there, you got a wick right off of it and is looking like local rejection. Let's zoom it on into that 15-minute real quick to see how the morning's lying, and it's looking like that bounce off of it. Money flow still looking nice and red, looking like we're going to hit a little bit of a curve here on our MACD and pull back down to the bottom side of our indicator line. All eyes on PCE. Tune in to Piper Academy at 9:30 Eastern Time with Piper and OC Guy for that breakdown of our data. We do have it is Friday, so there are no other late night shows. We will have Trade Intuition, who is in the chat right now with Trade Academy. And if you are needing any help with TA, needing to know how to do how to improve your trade strategy that you got going, you're not sure how to read a chart, you got some questions on things, that man is very technical on the charts, and he's the show to tune into to really learn that information. I've been tuning in a lot. I'm not always in the chats because I've been doing stuff in the background, but he does a great job. That's going to be at 4 Eastern Time. Tune in to Trade Intuition. Other than that, I hope everyone has an amazing day. It's going to be a great Friday, even if it is a little bloody. But wake up, because today's going to be a good day.